Nothing wey dem no dey hear for Nigeria. Na only Nigeria na dey see am say person wey dey for inside kirikiri. Na only the rich people wey dey for inside kirikiri for Nigeria, na only dem dey fit dey run. Why e be say all the poor people wey be say una dey show all the time say dey for inside kirikiri, dem no dey fit dey run? Nigeria's leader, make una stop wetin una dey do, because this is cheating. You are cheating on your people. Which kind noise be this one? Say person wey be say e dey under una custody, wey be say una don hold am, say don do something wey be say e dey tangible, e vanish comot for Nigeria. Man, the way una take dey treat Nigerians, na only God na go ask una question, because I no know at all.
Why do I say so? Somebody in custody ordinarily shouldn't have come in with clothes, a lot of materials, you are giving basic amenities, in the custody. So how did he now have access to go to the mosque to go and pray? Somebody who is in custody. And where was he kept? A lot of questions have been left unanswered. Now, if he went to pray, that's why I said the issue of compromise is more likely. If he went to pray and absconded from that place, the people on duty should have raised the alarm that we cannot find this man, because he cannot just move out from the custody straight to the airport. So the period with which he escaped and he was noticed, he must have gone to his house to pack his things and possibly have access to another passport that was not in the knowledge of the security agencies. So, like I said, compromise is more likely than negligence. But I'm also happy that at least the Office of the National Security Advisor came up with a statement instead of allowing people to speculate, because it would have been worse when the social media and others begin to speculate. So I think they must be commended at least for issuing a statement owning up to their own negligence. This issue, like the NSA office said, is being investigated, and it must be thoroughly investigated to know circumstances surrounding his escape or release in that particular circumstance. So I think it's a very serious matter that must be looked into seriously.
Right. Thank you so much for your insight on that. Now, let's take a look at the detention that is being perceived as illegal by many on many fronts. Especially his wife has been advocating for the fact that he's illegally detained in Nigeria. The premise of that argument is that he was given a 14-day detention order, and that expired on March 12. So, is there a case for Interpol to pursue? Is this man actually a wanted man if the terms of his detention had actually expired?
I don't think that comes up, because from all the information I also gathered, it was renewed for another 14 days pending his appearance in court in the next due date. So the issue of illegal detention cannot, that not just also justify his escape. Maybe, I mean, it's baffling to me. Let's just leave the issue of whether he was legally or illegally detained, because he was detained on court order.
Okay, so a couple of things. Number one, sir, I know you security agents, when you have somebody on your list like that, you guys have something called a hot list, where the names are dropped by the DSS and all of that in the airport. Is it that this man's name was not on the hot list, that he went through an immigration officer and they checked and they couldn't corroborate with the hot list? That's number one. Number two will be the question of, why did he have to go and pray in the mosque? But I think the wife was saying that the place they kept was a comfortable place. The last time I checked, any Muslim can probably even pray in their room. So why did he have to go to the mosque if there was no level of complicity? Secondly, who was helping him keep or hold these Kenyan passports? that he used to live. Because when he came in and they talked about declaration of passports, probably he came into Nigeria with his UK passport that was taken. So the Kenya passport will have been an after arrangement. Who helped issue that? What is the trail? Have you guys been able to even go to the Kenyan embassy in Nigeria and look, was there a possibility of a new issuance or the passport was with him? Who was safekeeping? Some questions like that.
Yeah, you raised a lot of questions too. The State Security Service places suspects on watch list. And unless you make a request on watch list or is a case being handled and investigated by the SSS, you don't just place people on watch list. So if the NSA had contacted the SSS that this man is being investigated, place him on watch list. But it would have been a different thing. But he was not placed on watch list, and he traveled through the normal route from what information we have. Investigation will reveal whether he actually traveled, as being alleged, through a Middle East airline. And if that is the case, and it's been confirmed that he traveled through the airport, then there are lapses. That is why I also still emphasize on the issue of compromise, because it must have been arranged. If he was to escape, they make such arrangement and allow him travel. On his passport, we understand he has a British and Kenyan passport. Was it not to the knowledge of officials of the NSA or people investigating that he had two passports? If you knew he had two passports, the two passports would have been impounded. And so there are a lot of issues that to be investigated. And I think the earlier the NSA does that, the better, so that we'll know the truth. And not only that, efforts, like you said, should be made to bring him back to face a trial. That's the most important thing. Because if you see the enormity of the crime, alleged crime he committed, he affected our economy and so on, the man must be brought to trial. And the company itself, the B1nance.
Okay, Mr. Mike Ejiofor, I think you were in the service when this same thing happened with Charles Taylor, if my memory serves me right. And immediately, President Olusegun Obasanjo ordered that he must be rearrested. And they found him on the way to the border. Couldn't we have nipped this in the bud in time? And can you tell us your experiences about when this happened with Charles Taylor then?
You see, that's the issue I raised earlier. The time he allegedly escaped and the time he got to the airport cannot be less than 2 hours. Because first of all, he will go to his house to pack his things and possibly take a vehicle to the airport. So it's, like I said, it needs to be investigated. Then on the issue of Charles Taylor, I can't remember the details now, but I know that there was escape and he was subsequently rearrested. But in this particular case, within a short period, all the travel arrangements have been made and he has escaped the country.
The Charles Taylor case is even a different case. You know, we don't need to go into the details. But here, we're dealing with two persons arrested for economic sabotage, which is a very serious matter.
Sabotage, exactly.
Economic sabotage. Now, is it standard operating procedure to put people who are guilty of economic sabotage in a guest house and allow them access to phone? And in fact, indulge them so much that they could go to the mosque to pray with a state escort. And to the extent that the wife of the man that escaped will say, oh, her husband was well treated by the Nigerian authorities. Because you security people, you talk about standard operating procedure. So do you keep people who have questions to answer with something as serious as economic sabotage in a guest house where they are served sumptuous meals? Now, as to the issue raised earlier on, the remand order was granted to the EFCC on February 28. So his detention, it was still within the order. And in any case, under the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, you can always extend the remand order. That's the leeway that the Administration of Criminal Justice Act of 2015 allows. So the question of whether he was illegally detained does not even arise at all. But now, what should be the consequences? We have been told that the person, guarding him, they've been arrested, but there should be other consequences. Should he not be officially declared a fugitive? And what steps should the Nigerian state take? The fact that the matter is in court and all that, the man is already a flight risk. He's gone, he's gone. What are those consequences that we should be looking at?
Well, like you rightly started, sabotage is one of the crimes against the state, which falls under the purview of the State Security Service. You have sabotage, you have espionage, subversion, insurgency, terrorism. These are crimes against the state, which ordinarily falls under the purview of the State Security Service. So I don't know, this thing is shrouded in a lot of controversy and mystery that the office of the NSA is now investigating a case, and the man is put in a guest house. It goes against all known procedures and practice. I just don't get it. I can't add these things together. So for him to be, he must be brought back, like the office of the NSA and the federal government has announced, they're liaising with the Interpol to ensure his rearrest. And in fact, as we speak, nobody has heard of him. Nobody knows where he is. He has not made a statement, and nobody has said he moved to this country or to this country. But I can tell you that with the collaborative efforts of all the agencies and the Interpol, he will soon be rearrested. I have that confidence.
Right. So
that when he comes, he'll be able to tell us how he escaped.
Right. So, of course, two executives, one has now escaped. What is the fate of the gentleman who is still in custody? Is he still in the guest house? Will his terms, the way he's being treated, will that change? What should we expect? If you were in the line of duty currently, what advice would you give as to how to further manage the executive that we still have in custody here in Nigeria?
The problem in Nigeria is that we learn from our mistakes, and unfortunately, there are no consequences for wrongdoings. But this particular case, the people are in custody and they are being interrogated, and I expect that the people who are on duty now must be more vigilant, not just being more vigilant. The remaining person must be sent into proper custody by either sending the person to the prosecuting agency, which is the EFCC, or you send him to the State Security Service custody, because this sabotage is crime against the state. So I think that settles the matter.
Okay, good. Sabotage is crime against the state. I deliberately put up the Charles Taylor case because